liked.
I was really pleased to hear a lot of the discussion on the school funding issues that weren't just limited to funding, but also got into some accountability issues. I think that was very encouraging. I'd like to, of course, see a lot more details, as I think all of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle would like to see more details. Ultimately, the one thing I was really disappointed, though, is we're seeing the mental health delivery system in the state of Ohio crumble, particularly in the rural counties, which many of these counties now Governor Strickland used to represent in Congress. But there was no mention of mental health, and it was only focused a little bit of discussion on physical health and expanding insurance programs, which I'm certainly looking forward to the details. But I was really disappointed that he mentioned nothing about the crumbling mental health system that we have here in Ohio, and I would certainly hope that Governor Strickland, especially considering his background in mental health, would be open to some serious reform in the system before we have some real disasters on our hands.
Any ideas there? What would you like to see him do?
Yes, absolutely. I think that whereas we do have managed care, that while it does have its problems on the physical health side, I think we need to look at being able to better control our costs at in the mental health side of Medicaid, and that's something that right now doesn't exist whatsoever. And I don't see any reason why. We already have this good county board structure in place across the state of Ohio. Why shouldn't we give them the ability to maybe control some of the costs and control our Medicaid spending at the local level? We've got all this infrastructure set up. Let's give them the ability to help the state of Ohio and do their part.
Okay. Does the state need another stimulus package?
Well, I'd certainly, he only spent about 2 sentences talking about another plan. It's something I'll look at with an open eye and an open ear. But ultimately, we have to remember that if we go to borrow more money, if that is his proposal, that also has a negative impact, and that we have to pay it back over time with interest. It could impact our bond rating, just as spending current expenditures, current dollars that we have. It's something we'll have to look at. I think it deserves an open ear and an open eye, but at the same time, I don't really want to see all the money go to Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Toledo. I want to see some of it come back to southeast Ohio and the Appalachian counties. For example, the light rail corridor that he was talking about, that's all fine and good, but I never heard any mention of anything in my district either. So, and ultimately, I'm accountable to the voters of the 20th Senate District.
Do you support some of the things he had to say about schooling, as far as longer school day, longer school year, all-day kindergarten? Are you on board with those things?
One thing that I did hear that again, all of his proposals for education, sounded interesting, but ultimately I'd like to hear, a lot more detail, particularly about the funding. As far as some of his testing requirements and changes that he's wanting to do, replacing the OGT with the ACT, a service project, a research paper, a senior project, I think that has a lot of merit. Of course, we'd want to have some assurances that there were standards that were similar across the state, and that one district wouldn't have a necessarily lower or higher than another. But I do think that does give hold promise for being able to give a real accurate reflection on a more accurate reflection on a student's abilities than just one test.
Okay. All right.